Hi, it's just a quick one. Coming off of Euclid's optics for a minute, and just a quick one on one of the types of education that we receive. Sorry, I'm outdoors. This is types of education and the two perspectives. I'll leave a link to this so you can read the second perspective, but I'm just going to stick with this one at the minute. Utilitarian. It's the one I keep going on about. The utilitarian perspective of education focuses on producing students who will be able to fit into the cult of society at an elite level and contribute as a productive citizen. The utilitarian perspective has been used for many years around the world as a formal schooling basis, with the intention of benefiting the elite. I don't like using that word because they're not really, you know what I mean, but that's what it says here. And wealthy families and individuals. It is structured around the standardised curriculum, quantifiable testing of student performance, age-related classes, which leads to a certification for those who can afford the education and succeed. Haslam et al. 2012. The aim of this perspective of education is not to identify individual talents or interests, but to teach a set curriculum where students learn and memorise information, so they can be tested. The utilitarian form of education provides financial security and social status for the individuals and their families if they are successful. A case study completed by Zelda F. Gamson in 1966 implemented two types of education perspectives into the lower status / non-elite American school. The aim of this study was to see the effects of varying education perspectives on the success, not only in the classroom but in the relationships with staff and other students and commitment to their school. The natural science area employed the use of the utilitarian perspective to teach their students, which focused on cognitive effects on students, a distant relationship between staff and students, and no importance given to the commitment to their school. The social science area uses a normative approach to learning, which encouraged staff members to reach students personally as well as intellectually, encourage high student commitment and promote close egalitarian relationships with students. Gamson, 1966. Gamson interviewed the teachers and faculty members in the natural and social science areas, asking questions about curriculum, staff and students' relationships, the college, examinations and assessments. The majority of staff suggested that the utilitarian approach of education caused a distance between the staff and students, where staff found they weren't able to get to know the students very well. They also commented on the dynamics of the college and suggested that the utilitarian approach causes subject areas in the college to become separate, competitive learning spaces rather than working together to achieve an overall result for the college. When the social science area adopted the alternative education approach, both staff and students found a much more engaging learning space and student-staff relationships improved, delivering more effective learning to take place. There we go. Anyway, it highlights the utilitarian approach is useful in challenging students to memorise information and to be tested on it. However, if a learning space is required that involves class interaction, hands-on learning and successful staff-student relationships, then an alternative perspective on education is preferred. That's it. Alright, thank you. Hi, this bit's about liberal arts and servile arts. This is Christian and classical school often find themselves in a dilemma in regard to what they should offer by way of classes. A school must make a multitude of choices concerning curricular, co-curricular and extracurricular offerings. Recovering a basic understanding of classical education as a liberal arts education will assist in helping schools with these decisions. But they don't use these things, liberal arts, that much anyway. They were removed, and there's a reason why they were removed, and we see that all around us all the time, especially with all these idiots online and everything. But a lot of them are paid anyway, paid antagonisers and stuff anyway, paid trolls. You can see them with the tactics that they use, disinformation agents and stuff like that. I've got something else I'm going to put out later. I put a link in a couple of videos, Level Earth Observers video about shills and stuff. Put a link in there to a PDF on computational propaganda and stuff like that. I think it's a bit biased, to be honest, because it's done by the University of Oxford, Oxford University, so I think it's a bit biased towards the UK and stuff like that, so they don't show as much about the UK on it as what is actually going on, in my opinion. Anyway, this is a pre-modern educational models made a clear distinction between the liberal arts and servile arts. The two models are different in regard to the goals that they pursued. The goal of the liberal arts was to cultivate a wise and virtuous man. The goal of the servile arts was to cultivate skills for a given trade like blacksmithing and stuff like that. The liberal arts focused on producing the student that had the general skills that apply to all studies, such as thinking, like logical, critical thinking. And the servile arts focus on specific skills that only apply to one vocation. Today, our universities, colleges and high schools have succumbed to the influence of vocational and servile training. C.S. Lewis contrasts liberal arts education with what he calls vocational training. He says the educational model prepares one for employment. Such training, he writes, aims at making not a good man, but a good banker, a good electrician or a good surgeon. Lewis does admit that the importance of such training for we cannot do without bankers, electricians and surgeons. We could do without bankers. If I could live without money, I would. Money doesn't interest me. Never has really, to be honest. But even more so now. Not bothered about it, to be honest. But the danger, as he sees it, is the pursuit of training at the expense of education. If education is beaten by training, civilization dies. But civilization is just a man-made construct anyway. It's all delusional. People don't even know where they are, why they're here, or who they are. So civilization's all delusional anyway, isn't it? If you think about it, because it's all man-made constructs based on who we think we are, where we think we are, and what did I say? Who we think we are, where we think we are, and why we think we're here. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, he writes for the lesson of history is that civilization is a rarity, attained with difficulty and easily lost. Many schools seek to add courses such as computer science to their curriculum. Well, this is C.S. Lewis saying this. While I have no problem with students having a basic understanding of computers, well, I don't either. Because there's a lot of computers about, which is applied science, applied mathematics. Yeah. Especially in this day and age, schools must understand that they are providing a course that is not a liberal arts offering. Also, with a school's limited time and resources, we must understand that such servile courses are taking the place of other core curricular liberal arts training in the schedule of each day. We should focus on providing a strong quality liberal arts education first, and then if we have leftover time and money, which we probably won't, we can offer other extracurricular courses. Yeah. As Lewis reminds us, it is the liberal arts, not vocational training, that preserves civilization by producing wise and virtuous men. So that's the one on the liberal arts and the servile arts. The beginning of this video, which I filmed yesterday morning, is about the utilitarian arts. So basically, the servile arts is there just to get you a job, basically. It's just training, vocational training, just to get you a job and compartmentalise everything. And the utilitarian arts is the same, basically. Technically it's the same thing. So you just get a job and that. But the liberal arts are there to make you a wise and virtuous man, to free you from serfdom and stuff. This is why it was removed, because they don't want people, they don't want whoever they are, they don't want a critical, logical thinking mind. They hate that. They hate a logical, critical thinking mind, because if everyone was logical and critically thinking, they won't get away with half the propaganda and half the shit that they push, right? Yeah. So in a way, it is our fault for not seeing through it earlier, but then at the end of the day, what they call it, it's like, so it's like, it is our fault in a way, but it's also, sorry, I'm trying to walk down some steps, it's really muddy. Oh, I've got a right muddy bit now, hang on. Right, so yeah, that's it for this one. Like I said, in a way it's our own fault for not seeing through it in the first place, but it's also not our fault because we wasn't given the opportunity or the resources to be able to logically and critically think about things. But now we have got these resources, and we're starting to, no, especially myself, I'm saying we, there is no we, it's me, I'm an individual. So I'm not part of any we or group or anything like that. So, but I'm trying to learn these things now and passing these liberal arts stuff to my children. So that's it. I think I'm done for this video. I'm going to go back to the Euclid's optics. I'm going to do a couple on what they call it, Euclid's elements and first principles next, and a few more on Euclid's optics. We'll go into a few more about how to find distances and stuff like that, anything else, and the height of things and stuff like that. And then we'll go into spherical, what spheres would look like, and arcs and stuff like that when you're because of your vision. I'm going to go into that in a bit. So that's it, I'm done. Alright, have a good day, thank you, bye.